Hi everybody and welcome to the third part of the tutorial. My name is Moltenen and in this part we will begin animating the ball. Finally, something interesting, right? Okay, to get started, we'll need to, duplicate this ball so that we have a whole bunch of them, and we can take advantage of our on and off switch because we can make a bit more balls that we actually need. For example, let's say our target is like 5 balls, so we can make like 7 or 8, and then we can just turn them off because it would be hard to increase the number of balls after we duplicate the layers because there's a lot of parenting included, so it's best to do it just once and then forget about it. So let's begin. Let's select all the segments of the ball and let's set the parent to none just for now, because this makes everything, the parenting much easier in the next step. So now let's select all the segments including the controller and let's hit Control D once, twice, and again and again. Let's have 5 and those 2 extra balls. So now we have like 7 controllers, 7 high 01 layers, 7 gray light, and so on and so on. So right now we have to parent all these layers, to just like the original was. So this one to this one, this one to this one. I will just do it, and then just not to keep you waiting, I'll just do it and then you'll see what happened. Okay, so here I am with all my layers parented for you, and now we also need to, unfortunately, to modify all the expressions that we've made. I mean, all the expressions that somehow link to the controller or to the layer above it. So unfortunately, After Effects isn't clever enough to do this for us in this case, so we have to do it manually. I will show you just the first example, and then you can continue by yourself. This is our first layer. Let's just rename those to high 01, high 02. After Effects didn't do it for us because I think I've named the solid like that, or for some other reason it didn't do what it should do. But it's okay, no harm done, no hard feelings. Okay, so this is okay, right? This is high. This is our original layer from our original ball, so this one stays the same. But let's move to the high 02. A clever tip: if you would like to reveal all the animated properties, including the properties driven by expressions, in a layer, then you can just select the layer and press U on your keyboard. So there we have it. We have opacity driven by expression and a scale property driven by expression. So let's just adjust this. So we just need to make the controller equal to 02, 02. And by the way, if you're thinking what I'm thinking, we could, for example, to make this even easier, not to change it in every single instance of this value, we could, for example, make this like controller variable and name this controller 02, and then use this value instead of this. but I didn't think about it earlier, so I will not change it everywhere right now. Just to make, it would be easier now to just change this to 3 to 4 to 5 on each layer and not to just search for the controller 0 whatever. But let's just leave it as it was. This was just a tip for you. So okay, the second layer is done, so now let's move to the third. Hit U, third, and third controller. Let's move it up. I told you about the U shortcut and I'm not using it. Very clever of me. 4 and 4 and so on and so on and so on. So I will do it for you and then we'll move on. Okay, so now all the high segments of all 7 balls are corrected, so they're linked to the proper controller, and unfortunately we have to do the same thing for each of these segments. So but this would take like 5 minutes, and I think it's worth it, because we have so much control over the ball that it's worth 5 minutes of your time. So I will just correct every layer and then get back to you. Whoosh. Okay, so here we are. All the layers are now linked properly and parented properly, and all the expressions are correct. So let's clean this up a bit. I don't know if you're familiar with something that is called shy layers. Well, a layer becomes a shy layer when you turn this little icon. It's a head of a cool, funny looking dude that hides behind the wall, I guess. And we just, have to hide him. And then when we press this switch, all the shy layers disappear from the timeline, but they are there, really, but, they just don't show themselves on the timeline. And we can also lock all these layers, so we don't select any of them by accident, because even if they are shy, they are still visible and therefore they can still be selected. But now when they are locked, as you can see, and they are shy layers, there's nothing that gets in our way to play with the controllers. So like I said, let's turn off those 2 extra balls, so ball number 7 and ball number 6. There's not much change visible right now because all the balls are on the same place, but let's just move them around a bit. As you can see, you have a lot of bubbles. What's this? Why isn't this moving? Oh yes, it is moving, but it is our hidden ball, so I will just hide those 2 layers so they don't get in my way. As you can see, they go through each other just as they should. And just as a reminder, we are going to create something like this. That's it. And so let's get right to it. And as you've probably guessed already, we're not going to animate this the traditional way. Oh no, that would be too easy. We're going to use an expression to animate all the balls. So let's just tweak the size a little bit of all of them. Let's make this one smaller. it starts to look pretty awesome. At least I like it. Okay, let's move this aside. Okay, and now let's set all the bubbles on their default position. So let's choose reset on the transform parameters. So all the balls look like, like one single ball. And now we have to move to position keyframes. Let's choose just one of the balls, for example, this one. And of course, alt click on the position stopwatch. And now we want to create some random motion, but a smooth random motion. So we are going to need an expression to do that. And the expression is called wiggle. And it requires us to provide two parameters. The first one is the frequency, so how many times in a second should the ball change its its position, its direction. And the second parameter is the offset, so how far the ball can wiggle, what's the radius. So this is basically it. Nothing less, nothing more, nothing less. Let's do our copy expression only. You have to have this parameter selected to get it working. Copy expression. Let's choose all the layers, including those two hidden ones, and let's paste. And voila, there you have it. And as you can see, those two huge bubbles are, at least in my opinion, a little too big. So thanks to our expressions and help to our controllers, we can see which ball is it. It's number 1 and it's number 5. And we can adjust the size easily, without having to unhide the layers, find the right layer and change the size of each layer. You can do it all by using these controllers and these expressions and expression controllers. So it was number 5 and number 1. So let's scale it down, and that's it. And let's hide the color picker layer, and let's turn the background on, and maybe let's add a little shadow to give it, a final touch. So let's select new adjustment layer, and pick the drop shadow from the effects. Yes, that's pretty nice. Let's make it a bit softer, and maybe 25, and opacity up to 70, and maybe the distance like 8. Even more softness. Yes, that's nice. But I've overdo it, I think. Let's set it to 60 and let's call it okay. And now we can preview this again. So there you go. There you go. That's it. If you're unhappy with the results, you can always adjust the parameters of the controllers, change the size of the balls, and really do pretty much anything what you like. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. And sorry for killing the language, and I hope that if you couldn't understand me, that I hope that you could at least follow visually. So thanks again for watching. My name is Moltenan. You can find more exciting tutorials on my website, which is moltenan.com. Thanks again for tuning in. Cheers.